Good evening to everyone. So I'm Dr. Sandha Rajita. I'm teaching PGDES-3 and that is contemporary environmental issues. Okay. So, in this book we have 6 blocks, right? So first one is food and nutrition, and second one is forest and lands. Third one is fresh water supplies. Fourth one is air pollution, and fifth one is industry in India. So last one, sixth one is energy needs of India. So these are the blocks in your contemporary environmental issues are coming. Okay. So now, today topic is the block 4, air pollution, right? So before 3, I will tell you later. So this is the, first of all, air pollution is the very important topic. So that's why I'm telling today. So now, air pollution. So what is the air pollution? Anybody? So, right. So air pollution. So when the air gets polluted by various factors, right? So as the gases and chemicals are biological into the atmosphere. So that is called air pollution. So air pollution is a significant environmental issue, right? So that poses our health risks and impacts ecosystems. So it can be classified into some different types based on sources and composition of pollutants, right? So the classification of air pollution helps in understanding its nature, and identifying the main contributes, right? Contributes, and also implementing effective control measures. Okay. So each classification provides valuable insights into the sources and characteristics of air pollution, aiding in the development of targeted mitigation strategies, right? So now the most of the Earth's or our atmosphere, it is a very suitable mixture of, what is that? Oxygen, O2 plus nitrogen. Okay. So not only these two, right? Not only these two. So in addition, there are some other gases and aerosols and also water vapor varying in content and concentration, right? Sorry. The air is made up of many different components, right? 1 second. So the air is made up of many different components, right? So So 78%. So 78%, how much? 78% of nitrogen and 20% of oxygen, and also 1% is water vapor, and other 1% is inert gases. It is mainly argon, that is 0.97, and also carbon dioxide, and also other gases 0.3. So these are the different components into the air, right? So now, so what is air? So this is air pollutant. Air pollutant means air. So definition is the when the air gets polluted by various factors as gases and chemicals or biological into the atmosphere. So that is called air pollution, right? So now what is air pollutants? So the air pollutants play a significant role in causing air pollution, right? So which poses a serious threat to human health in the our environment. So now understanding the classification of air pollutants helps in identifying their sources and impacts, and also enable effective measures to control and mitigate air pollution. So the substances so that are responsible, right? That responsible for air pollution, that is known as air pollutants, right? So it can occur in solids or liquids, gaseous, and also it can come from natural as well as human sources, right? So now you see here, so based on air pollutants, it can be classified into two categories, right? So that is first one is primary pollutants and second one is secondary pollutants. So now we are going to first one is primary air pollutants. So this is air pollutant, okay. Okay, right. So primary air pollutants. So it means those pollutants that emitted, right? That emitted directly from the sources, right? So it is directly into the atmosphere. So it's called primary pollutants. So for example, you see here, so primary air pollutants examples, these are the examples, sulfur dioxide and also nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon and also volatile organic compounds and particulate matter and also finally lead. So these are the some of the examples in primary air pollutants, right? Now we're going to secondary air pollutants. So what is secondary air pollutants? So secondary air pollutants formed in the atmosphere, right? Formed in the atmosphere as a result of the chemical or physical interactions between the primary pollutants and other atmospheric components. So this is not directly emitted, but the forms in the air. So when primary pollutants react or mix up, right? So that is called secondary pollutants. So now you see here some of the examples here. Sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and sulfur trioxide, SO3, and nitric acid HNO3 and carbon dioxide CO2 and ozone O3 and hydrogen peroxide H2O2 and peroxyacetyl nitrate, that is PAN, right? So these are the secondary pollutants. So now we're going to next slide, that is the sources of air pollution. So what are the sources? So it means, so based on the sources of air pollution, it can be classified into two types. What is that? Two types. You see here, first one is natural sources. And second one is man-made sources, right? Natural and man-made, okay? So pollutants are two types, and primary and secondary. So now based on source of pollution, that is called, sorry, that is divided into natural source and man-made source. Okay, remember this words. So natural source. So natural sources means these are caused by natural reasons. Natural reasons means volcanic eruptions and wildfires and forest fires, right? So these are the natural. So so natural forest, right? So natural forest fire and these volcanic eruptions introduce, what is that? Smoke, the smoke, right? The smoke. And also this ash and forest fire and other suspended particles into the air. It is going to the air or atmosphere, right? So these are several natural pollutants that is pollute air, right? So such as natural fog, dust particles of volcanic eruption and forest fires, and also pollen grains and bacteria, etc., etc. So amongst of them, pollen grains, those are very important. Why? Why? Because their size range can vary from how much? You see here, 5 microns to 100 microns. Okay, 100 microns. So the larger particles can cause bronchitis and asthma and also dermatitis to the human beings. Okay, so the wildfires smoke, the wildfire smoke is associated with a range of adverse health effects due to the negative effect of poor air quality, right? So these adverse health effects include um, heightened risk of uh, developing breathing problems for individual with pre-existing respiratory problems, and it is a great likelihood of dying from COVID-19 and higher rates of heart attacks and also other cardiovascular problems, right? So you see one of, so this is the fog and volatile compounds. So now you see particulate matter. So it's called PM, right? PM. Okay, PM. So particulate matter, it's like small particles, right? So particulate matter is a complex mixture of small particles, right? Small particles and liquid droplets. So that are mainly from industry or motor vehicle exhaust and dust storms or bushfires. So it can also generate a large amount of this particulate matter. You see here, particulate matter contains a particles of different sizes, so that are released into the atmosphere from which place? Various sources, including fossil fuels, dust, smoke, and this fog. So the particulate matter can accumulate in the respiratory system, which can aggravate the heart and lungs and increase the risk of respiratory infections, right? So the particulate matter is classified according to the diameter of the particles. The health effects of particulate matter are mostly due to particles. So that are how much? Less than 10 micrometers, right? 10 micrometers in diameter. So these particles can reach the deepest part of our lungs, right? And enter the bloodstream, right? So the particulate pollutant can do vast damage to our respiratory system, human respiratory system, right? So in this PM 2.5, 2.5 and PM 10, right? So that is so 2.5 microns or 10 microns, right? So PM 2.5 particles, so those are declared as one of the most harmful particulate pollutants by the CPCB. CPCB. So it means Central Pollution Control Board, right? So they are so teeny that they can be detected only with the help of an electron microscope, right? So these fine particles can be inhaled deep into our lungs, and it can cause what is that? Breathing problems and also respiratory problems and irritation, inflammations, and also pneumoconiosis. So it means a disease of the lungs, right? So that is caused due to the inhalation of dust. So dust means that the dust, ash, soot or cement. So these are, if inhaled, so may cause respiratory problems like asthma, right? Asthma and also bronchitis, right? So this is very danger, actually. Next, VOC means volatile organic compounds, right? So the volatile organic compounds, it can be range of different contaminants, such as these carbohydrates, organic compounds, and solvents, right? So these compounds usually derived from petrol and gasoline, right? Petrol and gasoline reservoirs, and paint and cleanser use are agricultural activities, right? And also fuel combustion, right? Fuel combustion. So the volatile organic compound, it plays an important role in ozone shaping in the lower atmospheric layer. Okay. So the main cause of smog. So smog means fog plus smoke, or smoke plus smog. Fog is called smog. Okay. So the volatile organic compounds, it can cause various health effects, and depending on the kind of compounds so that are present and their concentrations. So now the effects can vary from smell nuisance, right? Smell nuisance, that is to decreasing and or decreases in lung capacity, and even cancer also, right? So this is volatile organic compound, VOC. And now fog. Fog is, all of you know about this fog. So this is fog. So fog means, fog is a defined, right? Defined as visible aerosol present in air. So in liquid phase, the formation of fog is mostly because of condensation of water vapor, right? Water vapor, water vapor. So it can reduce visible to less than how much? 1/2 kilometer, right? Means half kilometer. So in fog, particle range can be vary from how much? 40, right? 40 to 1.0 microns, right? So this is fog. You see now, suspended particulate matter, SPM. It's called SPM. So those are dust, fumes, and mist, and smoke, and aerosol. Okay. So these are the suspended particulate matters. So now first we are going to dust. Okay, now dust. So dust is a made up of, what is that? Solid particles generated by crushing and grinding processes, right? So its range can vary from how much you see here. So it's not declared 0.01 microns to this 100, this one 100 microns, 0.01 to 100 microns. So are 100 about 100 microns in diameter, you see here, right? So mostly 5 microns are smaller particles. It tend to form stable suspension in air. So it is called as particulate matter, right? So now next one is fumes. Fumes. So these are solid particles, right? So that is produced by condensation from the gaseous state. So generally, the volatilization from melted substances, right? Melted substances. So the fumes flocculate and sometimes coalesce. Means you see here this COALESC, coalesce, right? So this is the fumes and mist. Mist means mist can be defined as liquid particles. So those are present into the air. So in very low quantity only, low quantity, okay, low quantity. So this means light dispersion of water droplets suspended into the atmosphere, right? So now, so smoke means smoke can be defined as particles of it produced by incomplete combustion of fossil fuels, right? So it's generally size of the particles is less than 1 micron, or you see here 0.05 to 1 microns. So aerosols. Last one is aerosols. So aerosols, these are also, it can be defined as solids, right? Or liquids. So those are present into microscopic size into the air, right? So it can be like dust, smoke, smoke, and mist, this mist, and fog also, fog and fumes, right? So sometimes they are called as particulate matter. I already told about particulate matter, PM, right? PM 10 and PM 2.5 microns, right? So it's called particulate matter. It can be measured by using high volume air in air sampler, right? So these are the suspended particulate matter, right? Right? So now we are going to man-made pollutions, right? Man-made pollutants are pollutions. So these are caused due to man-made means humans, right? So human actions. Human actions means such as industrial or traffic or domestic. Industrial means Industrial means different types of industries like petroleum, textiles, chemical factories, etc., and also power plants also, right? So those are industries. And traffic means ships, buses, cars, and trucks and planes, right? And domestic means insecticides and municipal sewage, etc. So not only these, we have some other sources. Those are burning of fossil fuels and vehicular emissions and industrial emissions, right? And also power plants and construction activities and military training activities, etc. So these are some of the man-made sources. So now, so you see here, man-made sources of air pollution encompass industrial activities. So with factories emitting pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter into the atmosphere, right? So the transportation, particularly vehicles, right? Vehicles with internal combustion engines and release a significant amount of carbon monoxide, CO, right? And also nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds contributing to urban air quality issues. And the power plants burning fossil fuels further contribute to the air polluted by releasing pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and also greenhouse gases into the air, right? So now you see here, man-made, right? Man-made sources, man-made pollutants. So these are divided in are caused due to human health, such as industrial or traffic and domestic. You see here, industrial means industries and power plants, and traffic means ships, buses, and planes. And domestic, insecticides and municipal sewage. Okay. You see here, based on mobility. Now, based on mobility air pollution sources, those are two types. First one is stationary source, and second one is mobile mobile source, right? So, stationary source. So you see here, the stationary source. Um, those are also into divided in two types. First one is point source and second one is area source. So what is the point source? Point source means sources are stationary and very large in nature, right? Examples, industries and power plants. And now area sources. So these sources are stationary and those are small areas with indefinite directions, right? So example, heating in residence and open burnings, right? So now, so this is completed. This is stationary and second one is mobile source. So mobile source means, so these are also divided into two sources, that is line source and area source. So line source means these sources are mobile in nature along with long linear routes, right? Linear routes. So that is called line source. So examples, traffic of highways and railways and air traffic, right? So, and second one is area source. So area source means those sources are mobile but concentrated over specific area, right? So examples, airports and railway station, bus stand, and also ports. So these are the examples of the area sources, right? So now you see here some of the examples of the man-made pollutants. So factories are industries, right? So we have number of industries which are the potent sources of air pollution, right? So and industrial processes such as petroleum refineries and also metallurgical plants and smelters and chemical plants and sugar mills, and also cotton mills, right? Cotton mills, and also some synthetic rubber, etc. Right? So those are the main sources of the air pollution, right? So they are produced a large amount of gases such as what is that carbon monoxide or organic compounds, hydrocarbons, etc., into the atmosphere, right? And also pesticides and insecticides industries. So those are also posing a serious threat to the environment or air, right? So, for example, Bhopal gas tragedy, right? Bhopal gas tragedy. So that is a recent example in which methyl isocyanate, MIC, right? Methyl isocyanate, that gas leakage killed several thousands of people in their sleep, right? So that is the main example, recent example. Some of the industries you see here. So from industries, it is releasing carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter, right? So now, so thermal power plants are power plants, okay? So these are a number of thermal power plants. Number of thermal power plants are power stations and super thermal power stations in our countries, right? So all these thermal power plant burns huge amount of coal, that is to generate electricity, right? So the burning of coal produces, what is that? Several air pollutants, these air pollutants. So what happens is that air is polluted. So the chief air pollutants are carbon dioxide and also carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and also hydrogen fluorides, and also some particulate matter also, right? Automobiles. Now, automobiles means plane, ships, etc., right? So the toxic vehicular exhaust, those are biggest sources, right? Biggest sources of air pollution in the cities or in the our countries, any. So the vehicles are responsible for more than 80% of total air pollution in our cities. So, but the stand next only the thermal power plants as the source of air pollution, right? So, some examples are carbon dioxide, see here, carbon dioxide, benzene, and volatile organic compounds, lead, right? So these are the examples. And next we are going to, so you see here, from planes, it releases carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and volatile organic compounds and particulate matter, right? So from ships, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and carbon dioxide, and also particulate matter, okay? So now, insecticides, it means agriculture activities, right? So agricultural practices. Agricultural practices means like burning of field, plowing of dry field, right? So it is use of pesticide, produces lots of particulate matter, right? PM and smoke and also pollutant gases, right? So the agriculture farmers spraying of this insecticides and pesticides and also fertilizers, right? Insecticides, pesticides, and fertilizers, etc. So these get mixed with the air and it causes of air pollution. So these are also emit harmful chemicals in the atmosphere and contaminate to the air, right? So this is the agricultural activities, insecticides. So you see here some of the mining activities, domestic sources. So mining activities mean in the mining process, the minerals below the earth. So those are extracted using large pieces of equipments. So the time the dust will come out, right? So the dust and chemicals released during the process not only pollute the air, but also deteriorate the health of workers and peoples living in the nearby surrounding areas, right? And domestic sources, the household cleaning products, that is called domestic, right? So the domestic products and paints, it contain toxic chemicals that are released into the air. The smell from the newly painted walls in the smell of the chemical present to the paints. So it's not only pollute the air, but also affecting breathing problem, right? So this is also main important source. Next, we are going to major gaseous pollutants. So what are the major gaseous pollutants? So the various the the various gases and air vapors, so which are major contributor to air pollution, right? So you see, what are the major gases pollutants? First one is, this is very danger gases, carbon monoxide, right? So the carbon monoxide, it means incomplete, right? This is odorless and colorless gas. It produced by incomplete combustion of carbonaceous material. So it is highly poisonous gas, right? Highly, remember this, highly poisonous gas. So the major source of carbon monoxide is incomplete combustion of fossil fuels or fuels from automobiles and engines, so, right? So incomplete combustion of fossil fuels produce carbon monoxide. That is very important. So it is colorless and it is formed when the carbon and fuel does not burn completely. So the main source of carbon monoxide is motor vehicle exhaust. And therefore, the carbon monoxide levels are very high in areas with heavy traffic, and also other sources include bushfires also, right? Bushfires. So the carbon monoxide contribute to the greenhouse effect and smog and acidification. So this gas can bind to hemoglobin in our blood and preventing oxygen transport through our body. So this result in oxygen depletion of the heart, brains, and also blood vessels, eventually causing finally death. Okay. So this is very danger and highly poisonous gas, right? Next one is carbon dioxide. It means CO2. So CO2, it is the principal greenhouse gas. So that is emitted as a result of human activities. Human activity means such as the burning of coal or burning of fossil fuels, oil and natural gases. Right? So next we are going to sulfur dioxide or oxides of sulfur. So the sulfur dioxide is the most important, right? Most important and common primary air pollutant. So it can produce in huge amounts in combustion of coal and other fuels in industrial and domestic use, right? So you see, this is the one of the primary pollutant of air pollutants. So the main source of sulfur dioxide is combustion of fossil fuels, especially coal. Okay. So the sulfur content may vary from 1% to 4%. That is good quality coal and mud. Means 1%. And 4 means bituminous coal, right? So the another source of sulfur is metallurgical operations, right? So during smelting of ores of zinc and copper and lead produce sulfur dioxides, right? So it is also produced during melting of sulfide ores, right? So sulfur dioxide concentration in the air, it have decreased in the past 2 decades, mainly because we use more non-sulfur containing fuels for the generation of energy, right? So the sulfur dioxide is a result, it can cause breathing problems with humans, right? So in moist environments, sulfur dioxide may be transferred to sulfuric acid. It is that sulfuric, right? So, sulfuric, SULPHRIC, sulfuric acid. So this acid causes acidification and winter smog. Acidification, winter smog. So the sulfur dioxide is a gas that can be produced when sulfur containing fuels are burned during industrial process like in power plants and refineries, right? So most of the sulfur dioxide emissions come from where? Power generation plants. So but very little comes from mobile source, right? Mobile source. So this pungent gas can cause eye and throat irritation and also harm to lung tissue. So when it inhaled, right? So the oxides of sulfur include SO2 and SO3. So they are chiefly produced by combustion of fossil fuels in stationary sources. So the thermal power plants contribute a large share, and transportation and industrial processes also generate them, right? They are corrosive in nature. Corrosive in nature. Okay. You see here, this is the sulfur dioxide going into the atmosphere. And nitrogen oxides are oxides of nitrogen. So oxides of nitrogen, NO3 or N2O, the ton nitrogen oxide NOx, right? So it is usually used to include 2 gases, that is NO, nitric acid, nitric oxide, NO, this is nitric oxide, right? So which is colorless and odorless gas, and nitrogen dioxide, so which is reddish brown gas with a pungent color, right? So nitrogen dioxide and nitric oxide, so it reacts with oxygen or ozone in the air to form, what is that? Form nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide. So it is apparent that oxides of nitrogen Those are the second highest contaminant in major cities. So mostly these oxides of nitrogen are present due to emission from, where is that? Industries, right? So where nitric acid is produced or used. So the next sources of air pollutant as oxides of nitrogen, those are automobile exhaust and also power plants and low heat burner and furnaces, etc. So out of all nitrogen oxides, only nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide arise from human activities only. So the normally it is written like NOx, right? NOx. That is to show all oxides of nitrogen, right? NOx means NO, NO2, N2O, right? All oxides of nitrogen. So nitrogen oxides are gases that react with other pollutants when they are present into the atmosphere. For example, nitrogen oxides, right? So nitrogen oxides play an important or significant role in the formation of ozone, right? Formation of ozone in the lower uh, atmosphere. And in acidification and eutrophication process, right? Which one? Acidification and eutrophication. So they can deeply penetrate our lungs and damage human lung functions, right? So it is usually formed when fuel is burned at a high temperature. High temperature. Common sources. Those are the exhaust of motor vehicles, industry power plant, and also gas stove tops also, right? Gas stove tops. So it's come primarily from motor vehicle emissions and stationary fossil fuels combustion such as factories, power plants, right? So these are the oxides of nitrogen. You see this figure. So this is main thing. Right. Next one is fluoride. Okay. So fluorides are some cheap sources, right? Cheap sources of fluoride pollutants. So those are brickworks and aluminum factories, glass works and steel works and ceramic factories and phosphate fertilizer plants and uranium smelters and also combustion of fossil or combustion of coal. Okay. So most injurious fluoride pollutants is gaseous hydrogen fluoride. Means hydrogen fluoride. Okay. So the fluoride is released into the air or atmosphere in the large quantities by through aluminum reduction plants and phosphate processors and steel mills, coal burning operations, and this bricks and tile manufacturers, and also various less significant sources, right? These are the fluorides. And next one is chlorine, Cl2. So chlorine, although this chlorine concentration change very rapidly into the atmosphere due to atmospheric chemistry. Atmospheric chemistry. And light rain can remove all the chlorine from the air in a very short time period. Okay. The chlorine injury can occur to plants near the sources of pollution. So the impact of chlorine pollution increases in bright sunlight and decreases in drought and low temperature, right? So increases in bright sunlight and decreases in drought and low temperature. Okay. So next one is hydrocarbons. Okay. So hydrocarbons. So these are organic compounds and with hydrogen and carbon, right? Hydrocarbons means hydrogen and carbon. So it comes from incomplete combustion or burning or evaporated from fuel supplies. And major source is, what is that? Major source is automobiles and some of the industries, and this contribute to the smog, right? Smog means fog plus smoke is called smog, right? So smog is caused by the interaction occurring between nitrogen dioxide and various volatile organic compounds, right? It means gasolines, vapors. So this is the hydrocarbons. Next, lead. So lead is produced mostly as a result of metal and ore processing motor vehicle exhaust. It is used to be major source of lead pollution. However, regulatory efforts to reduce lead and fuel has led to a massive reduction in lead emissions. So it can cause nervous system damage and also digestive problems, and in some cases cause cancer also, right? I think ozone is coming here, right? Okay. So next one is air pollutant uh, or air pollution effects. So what are the air pollution effects? So effects are lot of is there, right? So based on the preliminary regulations and standards prescribed by the various statutory and regulating agencies, the impacts of various activities on the air quality have to be examined. So the air pollution effect to this human health and material damage, climate and aesthetical effects, right? So first one is human health effects. So what are the human health effects? So several pollution affects our health and causes many fatal diseases and also disorders, and eye irritation, headaches, and aggravation of respiratory difficulties, right? So main the important are the pollen grains, right? Pollen grains and spore produces allergic reaction and asthma and bronchitis in several persons or different humans. So the sulfur dioxide enter the soft tissue, right? Soft tissue, and it produces drying of mouth, scratchy throat, and smoothing eyes, right? Smoothing eyes. And mining dust. Mining dust causes black lung disease. It can cause black lung diseases. And lead causes anemia, headache, and damage of what is that? Erythrocytes and central nervous system, right? Central nervous system. So the air pollution has resulted in several respiratory disorders and heart diseases among humans. So the cases of lung cancer have increased in the last few decades, right? So children living near polluted areas, so those are more prone to pneumonia and asthma also, right? So many people die every year due to the direct or indirect effect of air pollution, right? So how does air pollution affect human health? So air pollution is an issue of major concern, which has led to an extreme toxicological impact on human health and also environment, and it is linked to millions of deaths every year, that is worldwide, right? So since the beginning of industrialization and countries like India and Iran, it has seen a significant increase in air pollutants in the year of 1970s. So, but then quickly spike to harmful levels, right? So, motor vehicles and industrial processes majority contributes to air pollution. It is worldwide or globally, right? So, six major